There's a funny thing about people with real, lasting wealth. The quiet kind. The kind that survives a 30-year retirement without ever running dry. You'd expect to find expensive taste, fancy cars, big watches, the trappings. And sometimes you do. But far more often, you find the opposite. You find people who are remarkably, almost stubbornly, careful. People whose secret turns out not to be what they buy, but what they refuse to buy. That's what we're talking about today. 7 things that genuinely wealthy retirees quietly refuse to purchase, no matter how tempting, no matter how normal everyone around them makes it seem. And I want to be clear right up front. This is not about being cheap. These folks spend, and some of them spend lavishly, on the things they actually value. What they've mastered is a kind of discipline most people never develop, the ability to look at something the whole world is telling them to buy, and calmly say, "No, thank you." Because here's the thing they understand that most people don't. Every one of these refusals isn't really about saving money. It's about protecting their freedom. Stay with me to the end, because the 7th thing they refuse to buy is, more than any other, the real reason they end up both wealthy and at peace. We'll follow one couple through this. Call them Hank and Eleanor. They're not real, but you've met people like them. A retired couple who at the grocery store would never look like they have more money than almost everyone on their street. Modest car, comfortable, unflashy house, and a quiet, unbothered confidence that comes from never once in their lives having to wonder if they could pay the bill. Here's what they refuse to do with their money. Number 1, they refuse to buy a brand new car. Let's start with the most famous one, because it's the clearest window into how these folks think. The wealthy, as a rule, do not buy brand new cars. And when they do buy a car, it's almost never the flashy, financed, latest model status symbol you'd expect. Here's why, and it comes down to one word: depreciation. That just means how fast something loses its value. And a new car loses value faster than almost anything you can buy. The moment you drive a brand new car off the lot, it loses roughly a fifth of its value. Gone. Just like that. Before you've reached the first stoplight, within 3 or 4 years it's lost close to half. You paid full price to be the very first owner, and for the privilege you absorbed the single steepest drop in that car's entire life. The wealthy refuse to absorb that. They let someone else buy the new car, eat that first brutal stretch of depreciation, and then they come along 2 or 3 years later and buy that same car, barely used, perfectly good, for tens of thousands of dollars less. Here's what that looks like in dollars. Say a nice new car runs around $48,000. Drive it home, and within a few years it's worth maybe $26,000 or $28,000. You've quietly lost $20,000 just by being the first owner. The person who waits buys that exact same car, 3 years old, for around $28,000. Same car, same comfortable seats. They simply let the first owner eat the $20,000 drop, and then they drive it happily for another 10 years. Hank drives a 5-year-old sedan he bought used, paid cash for, and keeps for a decade. It's not that he can't afford a new luxury car. It's that he refuses to set fire to $20,000 just to have that new car smell and impress people he'll never see again. The lesson: don't pay a premium to be the first owner of something that loses value the fastest the day you buy it. Let the depreciation happen to someone else. Number 2, they refuse to buy things just to impress people. The second refusal is the deepest, psychologically, and once it becomes clear, you'll spot it everywhere. The wealthy refuse to buy things whose only real purpose is to impress other people. There's a phrase for how the truly secure tend to live: stealth wealth. It means they have it, but they don't show it. No giant logos, no flashy displays, nothing screaming, "Look how much I'm worth." And there's a piece of wisdom underneath this that matters. When you buy something mainly to impress others, what you're actually doing is spending your own hard-won security to purchase a stranger's approval. Approval that's fleeting, that you can't keep, and that, if you're honest, those strangers forgot about 5 minutes later. The people who stay wealthy figured out something most of us learn too late: that the person in the modest car with the paid-off house is sleeping a lot better than the person in the leased luxury SUV with the maxed-out cards. Eleanor likes nice things, but she buys them for herself because she enjoys them, never to send a message to the neighbors. She untangled her sense of who she is from the display of what she has. And that one untangling probably saved them a fortune over a lifetime. The lesson: Anything you're tempted to buy mainly so other people will think well of you. Pause. You're about to trade real security for borrowed approval, and it's a terrible exchange rate. Number 3, they refuse to buy whatever everyone else just bought. The third one is the silent wealth killer that gets almost everybody, and the wealthy are ruthless about refusing it. They refuse to buy something simply because everyone around them did. You know the pattern. The neighbor gets the new boat, so suddenly you need one. A friend joins the country club, redoes the kitchen, takes the fancier vacation, and a quiet pressure builds to match it. There's a name for this slow upward creep: lifestyle inflation. It's the way your spending quietly rises to swallow whatever you have, everyone else has it, at a time. And it is the single most reliable way that high earners end up with nothing saved. They didn't blow it on one big mistake. They leaked it, a comparison at a time, for 30 years. The wealthy step off that treadmill, on purpose. They anchor their spending to their own values, not to the moving target of what the people around them happen to be buying this year. And the math of why this matters is sobering. Let your spending drift upward by just $500 a month to keep pace with the neighborhood. A slightly nicer car payment here, the club membership. That's $6,000 a year. Over 20 years, that's $120,000 gone. And that's before you count what that money could have grown into if you'd invested it instead. Nobody decides to throw away $100,000. They just say yes to 100 small upgrades, each one feeling perfectly reasonable in the moment. That's how the leak works. When a friend shows up with the new thing, Hank's honest reaction isn't envy. It's a quiet good for them, followed by zero urge to match it. He decided long ago what a good life costs him, and he refuses to let the neighborhood keep raising the price. The lesson: everyone else has one is not a reason to buy anything. The comparison game has no finish line, and playing it is how comfortable people quietly go broke. Number 4. They refuse to buy fear dressed up as peace of mind. The fourth refusal is one you run into at almost every checkout counter, and the wealthy have trained themselves to say no to it. They refuse to buy overpriced peace of mind. The extended warranties, the add-ons, the upsells sold to you through a little jolt of fear. Would you like to add the protection plan? For just a little more, you'll be covered. It's everywhere, on the appliance, the electronics, the car, in 100 little fear-flavored offers. And here's what the wealthy understand that most people don't. The company selling you that warranty has done the math, and they're selling it because on average it makes money for them, which means, on average, it loses money for you. You're not buying protection, you're buying their profit margin, with a side of relief. What the financially secure do instead is something called self-insuring, which is a fancy way of saying they keep a healthy cushion of savings, and they let that cushion handle the small stuff. If the appliance breaks, they fix it from the cushion. They save their real insurance dollars for the genuine catastrophes: the house, the health, the things that could actually wipe them out. And they refuse to nickel and dime themselves buying tiny insurance policies against minor inconveniences. Eleanor's rule is simple: insure what you can't afford to lose, and quietly absorb what you can. The lesson: most peace of mind add-ons are a bad bet you're making against the house. Insure the catastrophes. Handle the small stuff yourself. Number 5. They refuse to buy whatever's being hyped. The fifth thing they refuse to buy is anything that's being sold to them too hard, too fast, with too many promises. The hot stock everyone's buzzing about. The can't-miss opportunity. The timeshare with the free dinner. The thing their brother-in-law swears is going to make them all rich. Here's a pattern the wealthy have learned to trust completely. The harder something is being sold, and the faster it promises to make you rich, the more certainly you should walk away. Real wealth, the kind that lasts, is almost always built slowly and boringly. So when something shows up promising to skip all that, to double your money, to get you in before it's too late, to make you a fortune by Friday, the financially secure don't feel excitement. They feel suspicion. They've watched too many people get rich quick their way straight into the poorhouse. And it's not just investments, it's the high-pressure sales pitch of any kind. The one with the ticking clock, the limited time offer, the salesman who won't let you leave the room to think. Hank has a wonderful, unshakable habit. The more urgently someone wants him to decide right now, the more certain he is that the answer is no. Anything that's truly a good deal will still be a good deal tomorrow, after he's slept on it. That single sentence, I never decide on the spot, has protected him from more bad purchases than any budget ever could. The lesson: hype and pressure are not signals to buy, they're signals to slow down. If it can't survive a good night's sleep, it wasn't a good idea. Number 6. They refuse to buy cheap junk. Now here's the one that might surprise you, because it sounds like the exact opposite of everything we've said so far. The wealthy refuse to buy cheap junk. This is the part people miss when they assume wealthy means stingy. The financially secure are not cheap. They're wise. And there's a world of difference. They understand something called false economy, when buying the cheap version actually costs you more in the long run. The flimsy boots that fall apart in a year, so you buy 4 pairs instead of one good pair that lasts a decade. The bargain tool that breaks. The lowest bid contractor whose work you have to pay someone else to redo. Cheap, bought over and over, is often the most expensive thing of all. So the wealthy do something that looks almost paradoxical. They'll happily pay more, once, for something genuinely good that lasts. A quality pair of shoes, a well-made piece of furniture, the reliable tool. The right contractor, the old saying captures it perfectly: buy it nice, or buy it twice. Eleanor would rather own one excellent coat for 15 years than 5 cheap ones she has to keep replacing. And it isn't about luxury, it's about math. Over time, quality is usually the frugal choice. This is the refusal that tells you the others were never really about deprivation. It was always about spending wisely, which sometimes means spending more. The lesson: cheap isn't the same as frugal. Buying quality once is often the most economical thing you can do. Refuse the junk that you'll just have to buy again. Number 7. They refuse to buy anything that steals their freedom. And now the 7th, the one that ties all the others together and matters most. The wealthy refuse to buy anything that would quietly cost them their time, their peace, or their freedom, no matter how much they could afford it. Some things money can buy come with invisible strings attached. The big vacation home that turns into a second job. The upkeep, the worry, the guilt when you don't use it. The boat that, as the old joke goes, is a hole in the water you pour money into. The sprawling house with rooms you never enter but always heat, clean, and repair. The expensive hobby that demands constant feeding. The wealthy look at these and ask a question almost nobody asks before buying. Not, can I afford this, but what will this cost me after I've paid for it? What will it cost me in time, in maintenance, in worry, in freedom? Because the people who stay both wealthy and content figured out the deepest secret of all, that at this stage of life the rarest, most valuable thing they own isn't money. It's time and peace and the freedom to spend their days as they choose. And they refuse, absolutely refuse, to trade those away for possessions that end up owning them. Hank and Eleanor could buy almost anything. What they buy instead is freedom, a simple life with few strings, lots of open time, and nothing in the garage demanding to be maintained. They'd rather rent the lake house for 2 weeks than own it for 52 weeks of obligation. They understood that the goal was never to accumulate the most stuff. It was to be free. And every possession that quietly steals that freedom, they turn down, no matter the temptation. The lesson: before you buy anything big, ask not just what it costs to buy, but what it'll cost to own. In time, worry, and freedom. The wealthy refuse to let their things become their masters. The thread behind all 7: step back and look at the whole list, and you'll see they're really all the same refusal wearing 7 different outfits. A new car, that's refusing to let depreciation rob them. Status symbols, refusing to let strangers' opinions cost them. Keeping up with the neighbors, refusing to let the herd set their spending. Fear-based warranties, refusing to let a salesman's anxiety become their purchase. Hyped opportunities, refusing to let urgency override judgment. Cheap junk, refusing to let false savings cost them more. And the last one, refusing to let their own possessions steal their freedom. Every single one is a refusal to let something else take control. That's the real secret, and it's why I keep saying this was never about being cheap. These people aren't anti-spending. They spend generously, joyfully on the things they genuinely value. Good experiences, the people they love, quality that lasts, causes that matter to them. What they've mastered is intention. They decide on purpose what deserves their money, and they refuse everything that doesn't. The discipline isn't deprivation. It's freedom dressed up as a series of quiet no thank yous. And that idea, being intentional about what deserves your money, is also why some retirees look beyond just stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and real estate. One option people often don't realize exists is a gold IRA. Basically, it lets you hold physical gold coins and bars inside a retirement account, with many of the same tax advantages people associate with a traditional IRA. It all comes back to the same old wisdom: don't keep all your eggs in one basket. For many Americans over 50, most of their retirement savings are tied to the stock market, and we all know how unpredictable that can be. So it's worth understanding how physical gold could fit into a broader retirement plan. If you want to learn more about how a gold IRA works and how to set one up, there's a free gold IRA information guide from Augusta Precious Metals that breaks it all down. You can grab it using the link in the description below. It's 100% free, so make sure you check it out. Now let me be fair, because none of these are ironclad commandments, and I don't want you to walk away feeling guilty about your driveway. Sometimes a new car genuinely is the right call for the reliability, the safety features, the warranty, the simple peace of buying once and not worrying for 15 years. Sometimes a bigger house is exactly right because the grandkids are coming to stay or your family all lives under one roof. Sometimes a warranty makes sense on the one thing you truly couldn't afford to replace. And enjoying beautiful things you've earned is not a sin. We've said that before on this channel, and it's still true. The point of all 7 isn't a rule book. It's a question to carry with you. Am I buying this with intention, for reasons that are actually mine? Or am I buying it out of habit, pressure, fear, or the urge to impress? Ask that honestly and you'll make the right call far more often than not. And one more thing, not everyone here is wealthy, and that is perfectly okay. Being rich was never the measure of a life well lived. But here's the good news. Every single one of these refusals works at any income. You don't need a fortune to stop overpaying for depreciation, to step off the comparison treadmill, or to protect your time and peace. These aren't habits of the rich. They're the habits that make people financially free in the first place, and they're available to absolutely anyone willing to say no thank you. So those are the 7 things wealthy retirees refuse to buy. And when you line them all up, you realize they add up to one thing. In the end, they refuse to buy anything that would cost them their freedom, their security, or their peace. That's the real luxury they're quietly protecting, and it's worth more than anything that could ever sit in a driveway or on a wrist. You can practice every one of these, starting today, at any income, in any season of life. And the reward isn't just a fuller bank account, though that tends to come too. The reward is a lighter, freer, more contented way of living, one where your money serves your life instead of the other way around. That, more than any number, is what it actually means to be wealthy. And it turns out the path there is paved, more than anything, with a few well-chosen, well-timed, quietly powerful refusals.